Carly with the Oracle Applications Users Group. Welcome to this session of Ask the Experts. Before we get started, I'd like to go over a couple housekeeping items. At any time, you can type your questions into the question box in your control panel. Please feel free to raise your hand, and I will call on you to ask the question directly. We are recording the session, and it will be available online shortly. And now I'd like for you to meet your expert. First, we have Kaberi Nayak.
Hello, this is Kaberi Nayak. I work as a Oracle Apps DBA for MITRE Corporation, and I wear different hats for OAUG as an Education Committee Chair and the OAUG Collaborate Conference Agenda Chair for the last 2 years, and then was also on the Board of Directors. Basically, have been attending OAUG conferences, Collaborate conferences from 2000 and onwards, and have presented many papers at different conferences, connection points. So here I am, shoot your questions, and welcome everybody in this webinar. With that, I'll hand it to Melissa Sider.
Hello, this is Melissa Sider. I am the Director of Communications for AST, but in my spare time, I do a lot of things with the OAUG and have been an active OAUG contributor for the past 12 to 15 years. I have played a variety of roles with the organization, including Collaborate Agenda Chair, and this year I am the 2015 Conference Chair for the whole Collaborate 15. Along with my experience in the Education Committee, I have attended and presented at numerous Collaborate events, and so I'm here to help, give advice. I also do organize internally and have for the past about 10 years the submissions for the company that I work for, and we traditionally do very well with our submissions because we have a very organized program by which we proofread and deliberately determine what our submissions will be in any given year. All right, I'll turn it over to Lakshmi Sampath.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. This is Lakshmi Sampath. I'm an Oracle liaison, and I have been a volunteer with OAUG for close to 12 years, I believe, and I think OAUG has definitely strengthened my career. You know, I mean, my first submission for OAUG was in 2001. Since then, I've been speaking almost every year, and you know, I'm also in the Collaborate committee as well as Education Committee and Customer Support Council and an Oracle liaison. Within Dell, I am actually a user. I am a customer for Oracle for the past several years, and I've been using different Oracle eBusiness Suite applications within Dell. I've been in several teams. I've used Oracle Incentive Compensation, Territory Manager, and then Financials, Order to Cash, Procurement, Procure to Pay. And right now, I am actually working on a big project at Dell on the future state for back office at Dell, using order management and upgrade to 12.2 and Oracle BRM. Would strongly encourage everybody to consider submitting a presentation for OAUG. You know, it helps a lot with you as a member, as a customer. You can share your experiences and pain points, and it will help people understand, your findings as well as get some perspective from the other users. So feel free to let us know if we can help in any way. I will turn it over to Anne.
Hi, I'm Ann Cooper, and just recently became Cooper, so most of you will know me as Ann Ristow. I am a 24-year member of OAUG, actually one of the founders, and started presenting at OAUG conferences in 1991. My list this year, I took a back seat to planning a wedding, but I sit on the Meetings and Conferences Committee, and our job is to look at conferences into the future. I want to reiterate what everybody has said about submitting a paper for OAUG, and my little 2 cents that I'd like to add is the most well-attended papers are the papers that most people are afraid to give initially because they think it's so basic. So if you had a checklist of how you do your job, and you're able to do that job faster with this checklist, that checklist you could turn into a paper, and that we like things like that. So think back to when you were new to Oracle applications. What are things that you know today that you sure wish you would have known back then? And those turn into really, really good papers. So with that, give it back to Carly.
Thanks so much to our experts and to our attendees for being here today. Again, our experts are here to help you develop your proposal, whether that be determining your objectives or even determining the best topic for you. I'd like to turn it back to Melissa Sider, who, as she mentioned, is chair of the Collaborate 2015 conference.
All right, thank you, Carly. And thank you, Sikaveri and Lakshmi and Ann for being here with us today as well. One of the ideas that we had to help to promote user papers at the conference was to offer this sort of a service, which is Ask the Experts. So we are basically here to answer questions. We don't have any slides prepared. We're not going to give a presentation or a lecture, but we're really looking to interact with folks out in the audience to get your ideas, help be a resource that you can bounce ideas off of. Last year in 2014, I talked to a number of users and asked what their impediments were to submitting and proposing papers. And many of them said they just don't have an internal network where they can bounce ideas or even get their abstracts proofread. And so we decided that this Ask the Experts panel would be an opportunity for people to call in and really collaborate with others on their topic ideas. So at this point, I would like to go ahead and open it up for questions. Carly, do we have any questions from users on the line?
Not at the moment, no. Again, please feel free to type your questions into the question box in your control panel. You may raise your hand and we'll unmute you.
If we have a limited number of folks on the phone who are non-panelists, I would like to go ahead and unmute the group and solicit some feedback from them regarding this very topic and how to promote additional users submitting papers to the conference call for papers.
And in the meantime, Melissa, this is Ann. Are there any specific topics you're looking for this conference, or that we as submitters should gear towards?
Absolutely. That's an excellent question, Ann. I think you probably know the answer, but thanks for allowing me an easy one. Yes, there are. So if you go out to the OAUG website and look at the agenda and the menu for the Collaborate 15 conference, under the speakers topic, you will see a link to something called a wish list. The wish list is basically just that. It's a list of topics we wish people would submit to the conference. These are the types of papers that we are looking for when we do our paper selection. So again, go to the Collaborate 15 website, pull down the menu for Present, and there is a topic there called Presentation Topic Wish List. This is a 10 or 12-page document that outlines for each track which types of sessions and presentations we're seeking within each topic or subject area. It also will help you to understand if you do have a paper and you're wondering which track it belongs in, there is a description of each track and the types of papers that belong within each of those tracks. So this wish list is a very useful tool for individuals who are looking for ideas to come up with submission ideas, as well as for people who have ideas but are not quite sure which track they belong in. Carly, do you know, is it possible for you to bring that wish list up?
Sure, just give me a moment. In the meantime, we do have a question. My company is not currently an OAUG member. Do we need to be in order for me to be a Collaborate speaker?
Okay, that's a great question. No, currently there is not a requirement for an organization to be an OAUG member in order to speak at Collaborate. That idea has been tossed around a little bit, I will be candid, but currently as of 2015 there are no plans to require OAUG membership in order to submit or present papers at the conference. Anyone can submit a paper, and we'll go ahead when Carly brings up the website. We'll show you where you go to get the information on how to go ahead and submit a paper.
And this is Kaberi. Just to add on that same question, pretty soon there would be an opportunity to become individual members of OAUG. So even if your company is not, you can become an individual member of OAUG. That should be coming soon. But the requirement for submitting paper does not require to be a member.
So this is Ann. I have a question that I'd like to pose to all of you. I know my answer. You know, I've been on the paper selection team before and might be on it again this year. But in the past, when I look at papers, I know that there are thousands that we have to go through and search. So can you give, and I'll answer my own question at the end, but can each of you give me what pops your eye? What is it that I'm going to need to do to get your attention?
Again, a great question. Kaberi, you want to answer first?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that definitely attracts, I think, I mean, I'm just speaking, used for the topic, and if that topic is something in your mind people are looking into and you just did it, you went through the pains of that implementation or whatever, I think the wordings in the topic, that's something that I definitely look for.
Okay, Lakshmi, how about you?
Yeah, thanks, Melissa. I think, Anne, that's a great question. The first thing we look is definitely title, and then we also look at, you know, the track, and then we look at how hot the topic is in the current market. I mean, and then we also look at how original your ideas are. I mean, we look at your, if it's a case study or, you know, like customer pain points, I mean, and the user, you know, issues, discussing some of the lessons learned. So things like this will actually trigger us to consider your paper for selection, because those are the things that are going to be helpful for all the people that are going to be attending the conference, because, you know, you don't want to reinvent the wheel, right? So we want to look for, you know, customers, like users, sharing their pain points, their perspectives on some of the hot topics that are in the market for all of us. So that's my viewpoint, Melissa.
Okay, that's great. I will take a stab at this too. For me, the most important aspect is that the abstract is well written and the title is catchy. So if it has a title that accurately reflects the abstract, and the abstract uses good grammar, good punctuation, good sentence structure, I'm far more likely to vote positively and choose papers like that. And part of the reason is because when you have a paper selected for Collaborate, you are asked to create both a PowerPoint presentation, which you give during the conference, as well as a white paper, which is a leave behind and is stored in the archives for all of OAUG to use well into the future. And if your abstract is well written, it's a likely indicator that the paper that you give us to cover your topic is also going to be well written and easy to read. So making sure that you're clear in exactly what's going to be covered, and that someone can very easily digest and understand what it is you want to share with the audience, very important. All right, and then Anne, do you want to answer your own question?
So I'm a lot like Melissa, where when I'm picking papers, let's say I'm in financials, I may have 300 papers I have to go through with financials. So the process is much, from our standpoint, when you're choosing papers, and by the way, there's an entire team picking these papers. It's not just one person. But we go through, and, you know, we all have day jobs as well. So I have, say, 30 minutes to an hour every evening during voting that I will dedicate to this. So I look for a snazzy title, and I'll never forget years ago somebody did a paper on FSGs, and what a boring topic. But we were going to Hawaii, so he changed the title to The Big Kahuna Steps of FSGs. So yes, he still had, it's an FSG title, but he had a little bit of fun in it, and it made me want to go read more about the abstract. So, you know, have a little fun. You know, our next conference is in Las Vegas, and have a little bit of fun, you know, with the title. But again, get your point across that you're trying to make. And I agree with Melissa. If you're spelling things wrong, that's not a good sign.
Okay, so at this time I would like, I feel a little bit like we're on a telethon here. I would like to once again reiterate to folks on the line, please do feel free to ask questions. We're just going to continue to run through some of the resources that are available to speakers and how to access some of these resources. Please do raise your hand if you have a question, type it in your chat box, raise your hand, we'll open up your phone line for you. But we want to make sure that we are answering your questions, and if you have specific ideas or topics that you want to run by us, we're more than happy to help you bounce ideas or even to review an abstract and a title if that's something you feel would be helpful for you. All right, so Carly has up on the screen for us now the Collaborate 15 website. And you can see we are on the call for presentations page. So Carly, if you could just scroll down a little bit there. It does provide you, which is that topics of particular interest. There is a button to submit your presentation proposal. Also below, there are some additional helpful resources, which are things like we also have an upcoming resources to help you spark ideas. So to submit a presentation, you would simply click on the Submit a Presentation Proposal button. And that, I believe, is going to take you to a website where you actually have to log in. And if you, this is not a portal, and you would create your own presenters from Carly and her team. Carly, actually, if you could go ahead to the topics of particular interest, I would like to highlight the wish list here. And we'll wait for that a second to open.
Submit now in order to be considered. Is my entire presentation due now?
No, that's another good question. So basically what we're doing at this time is we're soliciting your ideas. So you need to have a basic idea, a concept of what you would eventually develop. We do not ask you to create a PowerPoint or a white paper until your paper or idea is accepted to the conference. So the basic timeline is that by October 10th, we need from you a title, which has a, I think, 120-character limitation, an abstract, which is 3 to 4 sentences that describe what you will cover in your paper, and learning objectives. I think we require a minimum of 3, stating what your users would learn from the session. And there is also some additional information that's collected. For example, is there a particular industry or subgroup of attendees that collaborate that would be particularly interested in your presentation? You do have to put your presentation into a track and provide what I would call some metadata around your presentation, but at this time, no slides or white papers are required until we notify you that your paper is selected. Kabiri, do you want to talk a little bit about what happens once a paper is selected?
Yep. Basically, obviously, once the paper is selected, you will be notified via email about, being compliant, and then there would be deadlines given with that, and also the deadline when your actual PowerPoint is due, so that you get the timings all correct and have enough time to work on your PowerPoint. And then once your compliance email notification is received and your actual PowerPoint is received, then you will get your presenter compass for the conference, and you can basically book hotels and everything. You can do it ahead of time, or during that time. And any time if you have any questions, I mean, Carly, who is going to send the emails about, paper accepted and follow up on that, any kind of information that is missing, anyone who is in that queue can always ask questions to Carly or any one of us that we are in this call today. Always feel free to reach out. I mean, one of the things that a lot of people hesitate to begin with, especially being first-time presenters, thinking, oh, I can't ask this question because it's a stupid question, but believe me, there are a few other people thinking exactly the same question. So by asking question, you're helping a lot of other people.
Okay, thanks, Kaberi. I would like to go ahead and go back to the presentation topic wish list, which Carly has shared on the screen here. And you'll notice that the front page is a table of contents that talks about the different tracks. And we can talk a little bit, too, when we're done looking at the wish list about paper selection and how that process works. So you'll see here, each of these titles that you see here is what we call a track at OAUG. At Collaborate, Collaborate is an event that is hosted by 3 different groups: the OAUG, which is the Oracle Applications User Group, Quest, which is the PeopleSoft User Group, and IOUG, which is the Technical User Group. And so all 3 groups come together to determine what tracks ought to be offered collectively for the 3 organizations. So we do share our tracks with 2 other groups. That's why sometimes you'll see in, some titles that may look a little bit strange to you. Now, you can submit in any one of these tracks. Papers are selected from every track on this list for the OAUG. And if you go ahead and scroll down a little bit, Carly, you'll see we do, actually this document I think is actually 20 pages, our call for serial sessions deeply. The instructors or the presenters for these, they explore different facets of that business case in various ways. So for example, if you wanted to submit under the e-business suite tax session, there are 4 different sessions we're looking for, one related to order to cash processes, one related to procure to pay processes, one related to intercompany charges, and then one related to EBS tax setup. So we are looking for people to submit sessions. Those sessions are actually pretty much already defined for you, and instructions for how to do that are included in the wish list. If you scroll down just a little bit more, Carly, to the next page, you'll see an example paragraph that describes the types of strategic papers that we are looking for. For example, Fusion GRC, Fusion Sourcing, Fusion Procurement Contracts. All of these papers are things that we want to staff or slot under this particular track. And so this can be a very good opportunity or a resource for individuals to come up with some paper ideas. All right, again, I would like to reiterate that if anyone has questions, we are happy to answer them.
And I'm going to add in here, Melissa, to everybody that this is not saying that if your paper, your idea does not fall into one of these ideas, it would not be selected. This is a wish list, and sometimes it's also...
Yeah, I agree with Anne on that. So, I mean, if any of you issues or you are, considering Tolda 2 or considering Fusion applications, considering coexistence, you have a strategy, I mean, anything. I mean, it may not be on the wish list, but if you have anything on the, topics, hot topics in your company that you just put together or you just solved that you think, others will be benefited, and, this is a great opportunity to submit a presentation with that. So.
Yeah, I mean, this is Kaberi. I basically want to reiterate exactly what Anne and Lakshmi had already said. I mean, it could be something very simple like Patch Advisor, which is the, but there are always some gotchas that individual customers have to tweak in order to get it to work. And if you implemented that, to many it might be, oh, it's just a small, why would anybody care about it? But a lot of people don't know what you have to tweak, which is not available in any kind of documentation or My Oracle support. and you did it by researching, So if you share that, that's definitely helpful for other people.
Okay, thanks. And as always, if there are any questions, please. I would like to at least provide an opportunity for folks to understand the paper selection process. We do have a process here that is unique to the OAUG on the paper selection side. We do open our paper call for about 8 to 9 weeks, and once the call closes, the call is closed, and no additional papers can be submitted. So
whether you're on the committee or not.
Whether you're on the committee or not, that's very true. So our call for papers this year closes on October 10th. So all papers must be received in our submission engine by the end of the day on October 10th. Once that call closes, papers, we do take the time to try to make, because if a paper is miscategorized, it's less likely to be consumed. Submit your paper as an assets. Let's say you have a fixed assets paper. If you submit your fixed assets paper under the financials track instead of the asset management track, there are no fixed asset papers that are selected by the financials track team. And so when they run their report to show me all of the papers that I can pick from in the financials track, all the financials paper, they'll come across your assets paper, but since they're not really slating any assets paper, they won't consider it. However, on the other side, when the assets team goes to run their report and say, show me all of the papers in the assets track, they may miss your paper because it's actually categorized under financials. Now, this is a fictitious example. In real life, we do try to communicate more, and sometimes we will send emails back and forth and say, hey, there's 3 fixed assets papers over here in the financials track. But with a load of 1,400 to 1,500 papers, it is easy for papers to get lost in that shuffle. So we do take a few days to go through and try to recategorize any papers that we see are blatantly miscategorized. Once we do that, we open up the system for voting. This year we are soliciting voters from our entire user member base, from our entire member base, not just users. Anybody from any organization who is a valid OAUG member can apply to be a voter. One restriction we have is that we would like to have only 1 voter per company per track. So if you have 3 people who want to vote and you want to divide the tracks up evenly amongst those 3 people in your company, that's perfectly acceptable. So the voting lasts for about 10 days, and the voting is blind. And what that means is that individuals who are voting can go in and say, show me all of the papers in the engineered systems track. And they will see a list of all of the papers that have been submitted under that track. They can then go through paper by paper and provide their opinion on a scale of -3 to +3, with +3 being absolutely this must be a paper we deliver at Collaborate 15, or -3, do not accept this paper under any circumstances. Now, you might think that people could be biased in their voting, but we have tried to take away that bias by introducing this blind voting concept. So what that means is that when you're voting, all you see are the abstract, the title, and the learning objectives. You can't see who the submitter is. You can't see what company that person works for. All of that is information that is withheld during the voting process. So that voting does last for 10 days. We do try to get a very large voter population, as big as we can, so that we get a variety of opinions on every paper. We do try to make sure that every paper has a few people voting on it at a minimum. Some papers will have 10 people or 20 people voting on them, and others may have a fewer number of voters. However, we do try to make sure that we do have some averaging across the board with our voting process. Then when the voting closes, the room build teams, which are made up of a track lead, and the track lead is a person who is on the education committee for the OAUG in a particular subject area, and that track lead works with SIG leaders and GEO leaders who are mapped based on their areas of interest. So a team comes together and they will look at the results of the voting, and papers that achieved a higher score will be considered first, and they'll work on actually putting those papers into specific time slots within each one of their rooms. And that's how the voting process and the paper selection process happens. There is a process once all the rooms are built. We do go through and Make sure that the same paper hasn't been selected by more than one group, and that we adhere to our limitations in regards to the number of papers any one submitter can deliver or any one organization can deliver at the conference. And those limitations are in place to ensure that all organizations and all people get an equal opportunity to deliver presentations at the conference. All right, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over and see if anybody else on the line has anything to add to my description of the paper selection process.
No, thank you, Melissa. You covered in details, I think.
All right. All right, very good. And then on the
I have one question, Melissa. So
okay.
when they hang up today and they want to use our service, can they email Carly? What happens next? Can they still access us?
Absolutely. In fact, I had made a note to myself here for our next Ask the Expert panels for us to include some email and contact information for follow-up on the slide here. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Let's funnel it through Carly. So if Carly can give out her email address, and then Carly, you can funnel it to us as needed. Does that work?
Absolutely.
All right, why don't you go ahead and share your email.
It's C.Reisner, R-E-I-S-N-E-R, @OAUG.org.
All right, thank you, Ann. That's an excellent point. Thank you so much. All right, if we don't have any other questions, Carly, I presume we have no more questions?
That's correct.
Okay. If we have no more questions, we'll go ahead and end the session for today. Thank you so much for joining, and we appreciate your participation. We look forward to seeing you at Collaborate.